Hey romance writers, it's Jenna Harte with writewithheart.com, and today I want to talk to you about writing in deep POV to up the swoon factor in your romance novels. Romance novels are all about the feels. Yes, other genres have feels, but in romance, we want the reader to experience the roller coaster ride of love as if they are actually there. The very best way to immerse readers into a story is through deep point of view. Now, I'm sure you've heard about point of view, but what is deep point of view? Deep point of view is a writing technique that pulls readers into the story as if they are inside the point of view character's mind. It essentially quiets the narrator, that's you the author, and everything, thoughts, feelings, sensations, sights, all that is delivered through the point of view character. The best way to visualize this concept is with the movie The Sound of Music. At the beginning, we see the Alps in all its glory and we can hear Maria singing, "The hills are alive with the sound of music." But initially, we don't see her, or she's a tiny little speck. Slowly, we move closer to her until finally we're with her, twirling, singing, and basking in the beauty of the Alps. We experience the joy that is emanating from her. When we are with a character and experiencing everything that they are experiencing, that is deep point of view. So if you want your readers to feel all the feels of your romance novel, here are 6 tips that will help you create an immersive story that makes your readers swoon. The first tip to writing in deep point of view is to create 3D characters. For a reader to feel as if they're alongside the character needs to be fully formed with a history that informs their thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, quirks, and everything else about them. In order to create 3D characters, they need to have the following. Fully formed characters need to have a goal, something they are working towards. They have a conflict, both an internal one and an external one. 3D characters have a temperament, a personality, and values. They have a past that influences their current motivation, their beliefs, and their behavior. And they have a flaw that is overcome by the end of the book. Now, there are a lot of character development worksheets that you can use, but keep in mind that traits such as appearance, interests, career, quirks, all these are only needed as they relate to who the character is and how these things impact the story. It really doesn't matter that your character loves chocolate unless that is used to inform the character or the plot. Tip 2 in writing in deep point of view is to write from a singular point of view, which means no head hopping. Don't bounce around between characters. Now, that is not to say that you can't have more than one point of view character in your story. What it means is that in a single scene, you are inside the head of only one character. Writing in deep point of view means being in one person's head at a time and experiencing everything that is going on through them. We, the reader, see what they see. We feel what they feel. We hear what they hear. In essence, you're explaining everything from the point of view character's point of view. When you're in the point of view character's head, everything that is going on in the scene is filtered through their attitudes, beliefs, past experiences, and everything else about them. So if it's cold outside and the point of view person hates the cold, that needs to come through in the writing. Here's a quick example. Sally stepped outside into the sleet, gasping as her foot lost purchase and slid across the porch until gravity brought her down. Cursing, she righted herself and inhaled the burning cold air. Whoever said February was like a month full of Mondays was right. Here's another example using the same scenario. Sally stepped outside into the sleet, gasping as her foot lost purchase, and she slid across the porch until gravity brought her down. Laughing, she righted herself and inhaled the cold, crisp air. I'm awake now, Mother Nature. In writing in deep point of view, we need to layer everything with the point of view character's traits, including how they think. So in our example, we had a single scenario, but two very different reactions. One woman getting very upset about it, and the other woman having a more humorous attitude toward it. When your character has a thought, it should fit with who they are and how they move in the world. Tip 3 in using deep point of view is to use sensory details. You want your readers to see, hear, feel, taste, and smell everything your point of view character does. Added with the layer of attitudes, beliefs, sensory detail can reveal a great deal about the character and the plot. Tip number 4 in deep point of view is to eliminate filter words. These are words like thought, realized, saw, heard, etc. When you're in deep point of view, we don't need to be told who is doing the thinking or seeing or realizing, because we know who it is, because we're in their point of view. Here's an example. Joe watched Jane ascend the steps. She was stunning, he thought. Now let's change that into deep point of view. Joe watched Jane ascend the steps. She was stunning. Now you noticed that I didn't include the he thought, and the reason is we know he's the one that's thinking it because we're in his point of view. Tip number 5 in deep point of view is to eliminate dialogue tags when possible. Like filter words, dialogue tags such as he said are telling, not showing. And in fact, if you are paying attention to the tips, many of them are ways to show and not tell, which is a common rule you will hear in writing. Instead of dialogue tags, use a thought or an action to reveal who is talking. Here's an example. I love you, he said as he wiped the tear from her cheek. Now let's rewrite that in deep point of view. I love you. He wiped the tear from her cheek. Or we can actually write it a little differently. He wiped the tear from her cheek. I love you. You'll notice that his action of wiping the tear is what is indicating that he's the one who's talking. Now, an occasional dialogue tag is okay, especially if there are more than 2 people in the scene. And this will avoid the scene looking like a circus because there's people who are moving and scratching and thinking, creating an action overwhelm in the scene. Tip 6 in deep point of view is to use active voice. Now, I actually have a video on passive and active voice in which I say passive voice isn't wrong and there are occasions to use it. But when writing in deep point of view, stronger, tighter prose is what keeps the reader feeling all the feels with the character. When the subject of the sentence is actually doing the action, readers are more intimately connected. For example, Sally was overwhelmed by emotion. Now you could probably get away with that, but a stronger version would be emotion overwhelmed Sally. Now we've said the same thing, but we've used fewer words that are more concise, thereby making it stronger and more likely to keep your reader immersed in the story. So those are my 6 tips for writing in deep point of view, but I do want to give you a quick cautionary note. Remember that in deep point of view, readers can only know and experience what our point of view character knows and experiences in the scene. That means anybody else in the scene, we don't know what they're thinking at that point. This means that our characters can misinterpret or misunderstand what's going on based on their limited knowledge or their biases. And of course, this can be a great tool for having unreliable narration that can increase the tension in your story. Do you have other tips to help write in deep point of view? I would love to know about them. You can leave them in the comments. If you're interested in a text version of this video, you will find one over at writewithharte.com. That is Write with Harte, my name, HARTE.com. And while you're there, look around, join our community of romance authors. It's free to join. We have groups, we have lots of blog posts, we have a weekly call, and a whole lot more. Did I mention it was free? I think I did. So please stop by writewithharte.com. Thank you so much for joining me today to learn about deep point of view. Until next time, this is Jenna Harte wishing you peace, love, and happily ever after.